Welcome back to the Sovah Says podcast, and we're bringing you another great Mount Rushmore Monday list. On today's show, we are joined by one of the great football historians and storytellers of this generation, FlemLo. His FlemLo Raps YouTube channel has grabbed the attention of nearly 100,000 subscribers on the platform through a mixture of history and the deeper meanings behind their stories. With FlemLo's passion for the players of the game and his love for the Cincinnati Bengals, he's the perfect voice for today's list.
Host Ryan Yunt, and I am so glad to be joined by the very talented, the very thought-provoking FlemLo in the house. How are you, brother?
I'm doing great, man. How you been?
Good. It's so good to catch up with you. I know that these videos have been dropping. I've been staying on top of them. You have a new one coming out, or that just dropped recently on future Hall of Famer, the running back Adrian Peterson. And I noticed as I watched that there was sort of a underlying theme. Talk to me about that process and everything.
Around the same time I was starting to build my new faith-based purpose course. Scripts constantly. I write at least one script every week. So, but it just so happened when I was working on that one and working on the course at the same time, the ideas were just really cross-pollinating. And
I can see
so
it.
yeah. So I basically like everything was kind of tying together. I was talking about the way I pitch it is retirement, but what I'm really trying to get to, the point I'm trying to make in the video is just that our purpose goes deeper than our career. And a lot of times I didn't delve super deep into this, but there's that stat where when people like shortly after retirement, a lot of people pass away. And I always been like just kind of thrown off by that. I'm like, wow. So and the more I looked into it, I started to feel like, okay, so once people feel like they don't have like a reason to do this anymore, like their body, like they almost start to shut down. So
Mhm.
I was trying to get across the point that, our purpose goes deeper than just our careers and just kind of trying to open guys' eyes a little bit and let them kind of see that you're here for a finite amount of time, but there is a reason that you're here. So even outside of your career, if you lose your job, you get laid off, or if you actually are close to retirement, um, there's always another thing you can find to continue to find that reason to push forward every day, opposed to just letting chaos come in and kind of losing your way. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that's really the overall theme of the video, even though I packaged it a certain way. Um, that's the point I was ultimately trying to get across.
How do you, when you're researching for your next sort of story or subject, how do you pick, or how do you come across? Is it something you're looking for that's timely, or do you just start to
Yeah.
read a lot of books, or how do you research for your stuff?
That's a good question. I'm just a thinker, bro. So I'm always reading something, and I'll usually like I read my Bible every morning. So I'm going through that. I might cross-reference that with ideas I might have got from certain books. Like I read a lot of Robert Greene books and a lot of like Stoicism books. Like it's just a bunch of information, and I try to stay on top of that stuff. And then I come back and I read my sports, right? Because I love my
Mhm.
sports. And as I go through the sports news, these ideas just kind of I start noticing that it's all the same thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? And
Right.
sports is such a great, like, it's always going to be a good analogy for life. And like to make a
Mhm.
larger point, you can easily use sports. And I've been doing that. I mean, I've been on YouTube for 10 years. I've been doing that for probably about 6 or 7 of the years. Although it may be a little bit more pronounced as I get older, you know what I mean? But
Sure.
I've just always kind of done that. So whenever I'm creating a piece, whatever is going on up here is gonna be in the, what I'm saying, it's gonna like sink into the work. So that's just kind of an automatic thing that I do.
Something that you and I both have in common, right? Neither of us live in Ohio, but we still rep our black and orange real hard. You're a Bengals fan as well.
Stars are just aligning because I
Oh
remember
yeah.
watching Joe at LSU, and this is maybe 7 months before the 6 months draft, and I went on Twitter and I just typed Joe Burrow and I pinned it. And I was just like,
Period.
that's who I want. Because
Yep.
I was quarterbacks, I was scouting Tua, Herbert, and I was like, I like those guys. But when I seen Joe, I was like, bro, that's who I want. Like, that's who we need to turn the Bengals around. And I never dreamed we could actually also get Chase, but
I know.
hey, you on a roll, you know what I'm saying?
God bless the Falcons for that one.
Yeah,
I
the
wish.
Falcons, man, the game I always remember, I think it was the Dolphins
Yeah,
game, and Andy was going crazy, and we needed to lose. And I was
I
like, bro,
know. He's like, you're not taking my
and
spot.
man, he was balling out, and TV cramped up, and he was crying. And I was like, man, they're going so hard, and I love
They
it, but
were.
bro, we need to lose this game.
Yep.
So, yeah, yeah,
All right. So one of the things we do on the Sovah Says podcast, and one of the big segments is the Mount Rushmore Monday segment. And that's where I get a chance to take something that someone is not necessarily known for, but passionate about. And obviously, with your
yeah.
Bengals fandom, you and I today, we are going to put together our Mount Rushmore of Bengals legends. Now, whatever criteria you've chosen ahead of time to create your Mount Rushmore, whether it's guys that you've only seen in your career or your lifetime, whatever, it's your list. Chat, be nice, and I'm going to have my own list. If we agree, I'll co-sign. If not, then we'll keep moving on and we'll move on to the next one. So the question to you is, who is the first name we are putting on your Bengals legend Mount Rushmore?
Chad. Chad is one for me. Yes. Not that he was, I mean, he was great, but not that he was the best overall player, but just what he meant to the Bengals organization. Like, he shined on it, like the whole thing, like the whole package that come with Chad. Chad is one for me. Yes.
Yeah, I really had a bet, like my final pick, that I had three that were easy no-brainers for me, right? And then I
Yeah.
had that final pick, and it was between Chad and another person we'll talk about here in a second. I don't want to cheat, and if you have them, unveil it too early. But
Yeah.
I ultimately went with the other person, but I agree. Chad has meant so much for this organization in his playing days, in his post career. He, to me, is the one player that still rides hard for this team in the media with his new shows. When he comes back and he's the ruler of the jungle and he gets in the ring of honor, all these things he does when he comes back to visit the team at practice. Chad has rode hard for this team for years. And I think a lot like Dave Lapham, who's going into the Ring of Honor this year, I think there's so
Hey,
much
congrats to Lap.
like post playing, like, love that really adds to the aura of Chad.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Cause he just kept it going. Like it never really seemed to fade, you know?
Yeah. Do you have like what's your like your Chad moment that you will always remember?
Yeah, the moment that comes to my mind, unfortunately, is a sad moment, and that was after the game after Chris Henry passed, and just
Mm.
how passionate he was, and how he showed up, and then broke down the end zone. That moment always, I always remember that moment. Um, a less sad moment is actually it's not even on the field. Well, it is on the field. It's not during the game though. It was he had these videos. It was like two of them. When I was in high school, this is before YouTube was. You can go how to run a route. Like you can that stuff wasn't
Mhm.
there. But he had these videos where it was him. It was like Santana Mall, like Andre Johnson.
Oh, all
I
his
think
Miami
AB was
buddies.
there. Yeah, Antonio Brown was there, and they're running routes, and he's talking to the camera, and they're doing like all of the drills and stuff. And I used to watch that video every day before practice because we didn't have like a real receiver coach. So I'm watching to get the drills and to get the because I got to go run all of it. I'm gonna go set all this up, and so it was just real. It was a lot of motivation that I got from that. So I always
Yeah.
remember that.
I think he'll always be known too as the greatest Bengal of all time when it came to like the NFL wireds, the mic'd up on the field segments.
Oh, for sure. For sure. The what the only three things for life is certain: death,
Yeah,
taxes, and 85 is always gonna be open. It's like just drop the mic, bro.
drop the mic. Yep.
Cold promo. Yeah.
All right. So
So,
we didn't agree on that one. So who are we putting up second?
all right. Man, only four is hard, dude.
Only four is very hard.
Cause I have to cut. I didn't see him play. I would put him in. I didn't see him play. I might put him in anyway. All right, I'll come back to it. Let's go my for sure. So I'm pretty recent with this. So I'm gonna go, I have to go Joe. Like Joe is
Okay.
up there for me for sure. Yeah.
What's I know there was this video that went viral this week that was Joe's best throws of all time and some of the anticipatory throws that he had. What is there like a moment for Joe in your
If
memory
we're talking
where
anticipatory, it's the one the TB
oh
versus I
yeah.
think the Titans. I want to
Hmm.
say. For as far as the anticipatory throws, that one for sure. As far as just some of his crazy plays, like when we play the 49ers, dude just get
Oh yeah.
I don't know what get into him,
Yep.
but that one where he makes all the tackles and he rolls back outside and finds matter of fact, that's anticipatory too, because Jamar's running this way, he throws it back that way, but he plants perfectly, turns back, catches it. That one was crazy. Other one against the 49ers where I think ultimately it ends up being like a 10-yard out, but
Right.
it's or like a crossing route, but the pass is perfect. And I thought
Hmm.
all the chaos that he went through. But
And he
Joe
takes
is
a
my
huge hit
favorite,
on that play.
bro. He got smacked, and it's still perfectly on point. And I'm just like, I have a lot of respect for the dude because the way he play in the pocket is is crazy to me. Like it's crazy, especially given the hits he's already taken.
Yeah.
I've seen quarterbacks get iffy in there from far less from far less. So, yeah, Joe is my favorite player. I just like, I grew up on the Brady's and the Mannings and the Breezes. Like, those the quarterbacks I grew up on. So, I still like the athletic, you know, quarterbacks, the second reaction guys that almost every pass is them getting out the pocket and bombing it. I like those guys too, but I love a general who can run the play the way it's supposed to be run, go from read one, read two, three, all while manipulating the pocket, then throw a buttery ball with the perfect touch on it. It's like it's so many micro skills that go into what Joe Burrow does every week that I feel like don't get appreciated by outside fans. But yeah, like Joe, the way he played the quarterback position to me is just it's the way that the position was meant to be played. And I just like how you go about it.
100%. I agree.
Also, he a
And
dog. Sorry,
he a dog for sure.
sorry. He a dog. And let me. I had to go talk about that real quick because I wanted him so bad, primarily because of that. Because it's something up here, like it's deeper than physical. That when it comes to trying to get an organization that at that time hadn't won a playoff game in my entire fandom, by the way, my whole fandom, we had never won a single playoff game, and
Probably
I
not in your
wanted that so
entire
bad. So
life.
I, it was in no, it was my life. It was in '91 or '92 when we won. I was like three,
90. Yeah.
so it was in
Okay.
'90, so I was two.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
so barely in my life, but definitely not in my fandom. And so yeah, I wanted somebody like him because just his mental, the mental side of the game, and not just processing, but that kind of stone cold assassin. And I know when we get in the playoffs, I could trust dude to show up. Like he ain't gonna have a 12-win season and then get in the playoffs and you know not show
Right.
up. Let me just say it like that. To not say it in
Yeah.
a worse way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not ready for Joe yet. I have a feeling when you ask me this question or when I give one of these lists here down the line, there will be no way to not put up him. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping the rings that he
Yeah,
wears and he earns for this franchise will make him a no-brainer atop
yeah,
this list. So 0 for 2.
yeah,
That's okay. That's okay. We'll get there. I have a feeling we'll
yeah,
agree on one
yeah,
soon here. Who do you putting up at
yeah.
number 3 on your Mount Rushmore?
I'll go Munoz. I didn't get to watch him though,
Okay.
but he's one of the
That's our
few
first
like Hall
agreement.
of Famers that we
Yeah.
have, and it's been so many seasons where I sit there and I be looking at that line and I be like, man, it sure would be nice.
It sure will be nice.
Munoz and Willie Anderson and a couple of them cats out here. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot about Munoz other than he's just super swaggy when I see him. Like
Hmm.
he always put together. But I didn't really get to watch him play. But so you can maybe tell me some stories about him. I just know he was that dude, and that's pretty much all I know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I agree. Actually, he's the one of the biggest reasons I am a Bengals fan. We grew up in the same hometown to get
Oh, really?
yeah, in Ontario, California, and a
Oh,
USC
yeah.
Trojan, which I love.
Yeah.
But the greatest left tackle, not of his just of his generation, but of all time. Literally the man that like is the immovable object. Great battles,
Yeah.
some really really great edge rushers in the 80s. And that style of play in the 80s, they weren't the lean, speed, edgy, twitchy guys they are now. They were the
Yeah.
strong, still had an amount of athleticism, but when you're talking about a guy like Bruce Smith, I don't think Bruce Smith's playing the edge uh in this
Yeah.
current game. I think he's probably more of a three tech or, you know,
Right.
um, and those were great battles that Anthony Munoz regularly and routinely, came out on top of, and he set the tone for that line and went to over 10 Pro Bowls. You know, he is the word goat obviously has become a slang term in this day and age, and
Yeah.
it fits Anthony Munoz more than anyone that has ever played that position.
We're gonna have to find a new way to describe
Right.
actual greatness because we do throw that around like way too much, and it's like everybody that's good ain't great, man. Like it's got to
Hmm.
be a separation. You know what
The
I'm
funny
saying?
thing is when
Like,
I hear goats, there's no such thing as a goats. You can only have one greatest of all
yeah.
time. There's, you know what I
I
mean? You
mean,
can't say he's
you can be one of the goats. You could be one of the greatest ever, right? You know what I'm saying?
sure.
Like technically, I mean, I think that works, but I understand what you mean though. Like when we use that term initially, we meant the one. Like who
Yeah,
is
the
the
one of
one
one.
best,
We
the
meant
greatest?
Neo.
Yeah. Yes. Facts.
All right,
You know.
so we agree on one there. So that's the third face up
Yeah.
on your
That's
Mount
probably the only one
Rushmore.
we're gonna agree on.
Okay, well, let's
Yeah.
see. What do we
Yeah.
got at number 4?
Man. All right. And number four. See, there's so many dudes I love, but they're not. I cannot put them over this person I'm gonna choose. Like, it's like it's these all-time Bengals that I just have an affinity for, and I'm gonna
Hmm.
list some of them off, even though they're not in my slot. Like I love Geno Atkins. I love
Oh yeah.
AJ Green. I love Sam Hubbard. You know what I'm saying? But I love Mix, man. But the fourth person on my Rushmore is gonna be Chase. So
Okay.
he's new. I don't care. It's like
It's okay. It's
the
your list.
impact that this man has had, the impact that he has had, and put him and Joe right next to each other. And like what they have set the Bengals up to be in this new generation, going getting the first playoff win since 1990. Like to me, that's just so big, man. It's so big. He's so young. Like his year as a rookie, his consistency, the big play make week in, week out. Yeah, for me, so I got Joe, Jamar, Munoz, and Ocho, and that's my four.
That's a great list. And I think Jamar is just that talented, and Joe and Jamar are just so talented. They can transcend these sort of lists and be the guys. And with the amount of work, the smaller body of work, but what that small
Yeah,
body of work has been so intense. It's been so productive. Gale Sayers is in the Hall of Fame, and Gale Sayers played 7 seasons in the NFL. Like that, the
right.
type of impact that like Jamar Chase, in if that were, heaven forbid that he had his career cut short of injury like that, but he's the type of guy. This is the type of career, the impact he's had with a triple crown, like you said, a rookie of the year, the just countless highlights. The
Man,
night he was
from the
drafted,
word go, from the
exactly,
first game.
exactly. And
Like,
I don't know if I mean, you obviously remember the training camp before that
oh
first game.
yes.
It
Oh, he
it
was a
didn't look too
bust.
good.
Everybody was, oh, you dropping everything, you can't catch. I'm just like, hey man, just I was a little bit nervous, but I was like, hey man, man took a year off. Like, let's
Yeah,
just, you know what I'm saying? But man, when the second the real game started, it was like it was back at LSU, and all of that stuff was
right.
instantly forgotten forever. So yeah,
He hit that
I'm
first
super
gritty in the
curious.
end
I want to
zone.
hear your four because it's probably way more historic and like educate me, man. Like who is your four?
Okay, so um Anthony Munoz, obviously that's the one of the four we agreed on. So I'm gonna
Emilio
kind
Dizon,
of
yeah,
I'll maybe work my way. I'll start in the past and come this way. So another player. So our other Hall of Famer, I'm gonna go Ken Riley,
I got a Ken
cornerback.
Riley shirt in there right now. Yeah,
Oh God, I love
I
Ken
forgot
Riley.
about Ken
Obviously,
Riley, but I didn't see
Ken
him play.
Riley's before my time, but
Yeah,
I know enough and I watched enough um old highlights and read about him and studied his numbers. And before Cam was in the Hall of Fame, maybe a good 10 years and early in my tenure at the NFL, um I was on social media wondering why Ken Riley is not in the Hall of Fame. He retired
yeah.
with the second most interceptions in the history of the NFL. And to me, if you're a top if you're in the top 5 at the statistical category that defines your position, and for a defensive back, that's interceptions. If you retire in the top 5 in that statistical category, you are an all-time great. I don't care
Auto
what
Hall.
anybody says.
Thanks.
And the fact that he was overlooked because of maybe the market he played in, maybe the bias for that team that he played for, maybe because he
Hmm.
only went to one Super Bowl. Whatever the reason was, it's not good enough.
The corner, like
Ken Riley, all these years, and unfortunately, he got in on the Veterans Committee posthumously. And I wish to God that he would have been able to be up there and give a speech, and Ken Riley Jr. could have been up there with him. And
yeah,
um, it's really unfortunate, but and he also didn't get his Ring of Honor. He wasn't alive to go into the ring, but he's up there with the greats. Ken Riley is still in the top 5. And think about in his era, they didn't pass the ball the way they do now. So the
no,
opportunities for him were scarce. So he had to take
was
advantage of those
minuscule.
opportunities.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he's still in the top 5. Even with the
That's
modern era of
crazy.
passing and the guys that have gone into the hall. So it took way 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 too long for Kenny Riley, and he's in the Hall of Fame. So I have two Hall of Famers, uh maybe flanking both ends of my Mount Rushmore. The third name I would put in
Yeah.
there, third name, is a guy who's been a finalist for a few years, and it's really embarrassing at this point that he's not in, and that's Willie Anderson.
Really?
Willie
Yeah.
Anderson is the best right tackle of the decade of the 2000 of the aughts. Best right tackle in football.
Yeah.
Maybe a top 3 right tackle in NFL history. Michael
Yeah.
Strahan, who is in the Hall of Fame, who
Yeah.
set the sack record. What say what you
Uh-huh.
want about Brett Favre taking a dive to get that record. Michael
Yeah.
Strahan said Willie Anderson is the best offensive lineman he's ever gone against.
Dang.
I don't know if you can have a
Yeah, that's a
better
real
endorsement.
Bengals bias going on with, because I know about Ken and Willie from the Twitter campaigns, and I went and got my Ken shirt because I saw it and it was cold.
Mm-hmm.
So I know about them from that, but I never saw either one of them play. But I know they was like legendary for sure.
Sure. Yeah. Willie was drafted in the mid 90s. So he did come in and was part of that. He saw it at its lowest, right? He saw the Bruce Coslet years. He was there for, the years where they didn't have anything. And then Jeff Blake came out of nowhere off third string or off the bench to like excite,
Yeah,
the fans and give them this air raid in Cincinnati, but ultimately still not good enough to make the playoffs. And then he got to be there for Marvin, and he got to be there and see the turnaround and be a huge part of the turnaround and lead that team and those great offensive lines in like 2005 and
yeah.
2006 and 7, 8, and 9, where he had like Bobby Williams on his left side and Levi Jones at left tackle, Richie Bram at center, right?
That was back when I
Great,
couldn't name none of my
great.
linemen. I was back like before I was locked in like that. Like now I can name like all the backups, but I couldn't name none of the linemen back then. I was just looking at the receiver and the running back and the quarterback.
Yeah. And well,
But now that you're
Willie,
mentioning it, I'm like, yeah,
it's a great, little walk down memory lane. So
yeah,
Willie was a part. Willie got to see it at its absolute lowest, and then be part of a turnaround. Like what Marvin Lewis did, I will stand by this. What Marvin Lewis did, basically resurrecting the Titanic. They hadn't been competitive since 1990,
yeah,
right? There was like the curse of
yeah.
Bo Jackson. They lost that game to the Raiders, and Bo, broke his hip and never played again, and the Bengals never won again until
Hey,
Marvin came.
yeah.
And then, Marvin led them
Then
to
we had the little
500 in
run.
his
We
first
made
year.
it.
Yep.
Mm. We had
So
what?
for
We made 5 playoffs in a row, huh?
Yeah, yep. Well, let's see. That was the
Five in
that
six
was the
years.
Dalton team.
Yeah,
Those were the Dalton years.
yeah.
Yep. So I guess maybe my two outside faces should be my right and my left tackle. So maybe I'll put Willie on the far right
Made
and
more
Anthony
sense.
Munoz on the far left.
Yeah.
So here's the name we talked about earlier that I had to kind of go back and forth with in my mind. Now he had a shorter career in Cincinnati than Chad, but he was just as impactful, if not more. And that's Corey Dillon. Corey
Mm.
Dillon, what Corey Dillon did at running back, I mean, his rookie year, he set the single game record for a rookie rushing record, over 220 yards in prime time on like a Thursday night against the Oilers. A couple years later, at PBS at the time, Paul Brown Stadium, against the number one run defense in the NFL, he sets the single game NFL record. I mean, other than in the 90s, those late 90s, other than Willie, they he that's really all they had. Carl Pickens, the
Yeah.
receivers were kind of at the end of their career. Achilles Smith, that quarterback, wasn't helping. Scott Mitchell at quarterback, Jeff Blake
Yeah.
was sort of on his way out. Corey was the offense. I mean, that game that he set the NFL record, I think Achilles Smith had 3 completions in that game. Like Peter Warwick
What?
had a rushing touchdown. The whole plan was to run the ball, and they ran it down the throat of the toughest run defense in the NFL that season, the Denver Broncos. And the things that
Man.
Corey did, just week in and week out, like a 98-yard touchdown one week against the Lions in 2000. You know, just the things that he did were phenomenal. And the things didn't really end on a high note with his time in Cincinnati. He was frustrated with the coaching staff and the way things kind of played out in 2003 with Rudy. And I got so excited. I was 20 years old, excited that
Yeah.
Corey's coming on. and stayed late one night after everyone went home and put together a show rundown with all the segments we would do and all these different things. And I
Yeah.
remembered that Corey had said that off season, I want to be the first running back in the Hall of Fame with braids, with cornrows. And
Ah,
so I went home and I got a mannequin from the waist up, and didn't have arms or anything. And
uh-huh.
I bronzed it. I painted it bronze, and I made
Really?
braids to put on it, and I presented it to him on the
Bro,
show. And it was one of like my favorite
that is
moments
crazy.
ever. Yeah, I got to meet Corey then and gave him that. And he asked me,
How was his
after the
reaction?
show if he could take it home with him.
Oh, that's what's up, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's dope. You made his day.
Yeah, so it was super cool. It was like a super fun gag on the show. We did a lot of the segments that I had, come up with, so that it was kind of like my birth into the business, because then they hired me, a couple weeks later full time from my internship.
Mm.
So it was one of the things that helped me get the job. I even edited a music video together to do that in that show. And so Corey is like a very not only a very important person of my fandom, but Corey
Yeah.
goes back to being a very inspirational person into my career and sort of, the
Yes.
my history in sports TV.
That's fire. And when you make a connection like that, that's he gonna always be, you know what I'm saying? You gonna always hold him
Yeah,
up like that. So that's what's up,
right.
man.
Yeah, I think I have 3 Corey Dillon jerseys that I just keep in the closet on ready, right?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
many Bengals jerseys do you have?
Like 7 or 8 maybe.
Is there a go-to? Is it an Ocho jersey?
My go-to is actually Higgins.
Okay,
I just like the
nice.
jersey.
There we go.
Yeah, yeah. I got the 85 Higgins and the 5. We have one Ocho jersey. I got a Joe, I got a Jamar, I got a Mix, AJ Green. Those are like the main ones that I know for sure. I'm finna go back in there and get to going through my closet since the season rolled around. I haven't touched them jerseys all season, but I'm ready now.
Amazing, amazing. Let's see. So we put
I want to
together
get
a
a
list,
tray.
your Mount Rushmore of Ocho,
Yep,
Munoz, Joe,
yep,
and Jamar.
yep.
That's a great.
I'm standing
That's
on
a list that, hey, there's some history there, and then there's some potential to be a really big important list going forward.
for sure, for sure, for sure.
We're gonna see some Super
Yeah,
Bowls, and that list is gonna look
man.
real good.
Oof, it's gonna look real good. We can get to another one actually winning.
Yep. All right, Flemmo, I appreciate you coming on, man. This has been a great conversation. I appreciate the insight on the documentaries, on how you do that, and always good to have some good Bengals conversation. Appreciate your list. Thank you for joining us.
All right, man. Appreciate you.